which Saints were the biggest draft winners and losers. We've broken down the Saints 2024 draft class and where everybody should pretty much fit. But what about the players on the current roster, the people who are in the building already? Who is going to be the most affected?
I got a lot more winners than losers because they didn't shove a lot of people out of jobs. The first name on my list for winners, though, is Trevor Penning. They drafted a right tackle instead of a left tackle. Trevor Penning, I think, will get a chance to line up at left tackle the first time we see this team at minicamp. I mean, maybe it'll be Oli Udoh because he's a veteran, but they haven't re-signed Andrews Pete. James Hurst retired. I expect that we're going to see, the first-round draft pick at right tackle. I have Trevor Penning and Nick Saldiveri for that matter at left guard. I think these two young guys get a big chance.
I think it makes Derek Carr a winner too. I mean, at least he's not going to see pressure coming at him. He might not see it coming from behind him, but coming off that right side, he's going to have good blocking, so he shouldn't get hurried into anything. So
I have him on this list too. That was kind of like if they had gone pass rusher, because the value was there, it doesn't help Derek Carr. It was the expected move, but he probably gave a little fist pump.
Yeah, I think that makes him a big winner. I think the coaching staff, the offensive coaching staff are winners. They get a guy to develop. They get another tackle that kind of helps them execute their plan a little bit. So I think that makes them pretty good winners on this list. I don't know if there's a lot of runaway guys. I think I don't know. The running backs, I guess, are winners because the offensive line improves. But I don't know if it's improved enough to actually consider them global winners. But draft winners, sure. But I still don't know. If the other side of the line is going to be able to block at all, right. But they can at least run the ball to the right. So, I mean, that's something.
But I put them on there for two reasons, because they also didn't draft a running back. They went best player available at a certain point in this draft. If they had drafted a running back in the first, 150 picks, then you wonder, is Kendre Miller really the heir apparent to Alvin Kamara? And is Jamal Williams going to be shoved out of the way? But now Kendre Miller and Jamal Williams get to be those guys who are running behind Taliosa Fuaga. So I think they're winners for two reasons.
The thing that's interesting to me, though, is because I feel like one pick kind of changes the team right now. The immediate prospect of the team, I think it changes it right now. I don't know that there's a lot of other picks that they made where I'm like, this changes 24. Yeah. And I love the Kool-Aid pick. But I don't know if adding another cornerback significantly changes today.
Yeah.
So I don't know that there's a lot of movement on the stock overall. I kind of feel like you get the tally pick changes a couple things, it touches a couple things, and then who knows.
Well, my other winners are guys whose jobs didn't change. I have Jawan Johnson and Foster Moreau on here. I have Peyton Turner and Isaiah Foskey on here. I mean, they draft Brock Bowers, or they draft Sanat from Kansas State, or was he? No, where was he from? Kansas State, is that right? The tight end that went late second round. Then maybe Jawan Johnson and Foster Moreau. It's guys, do it. Step up. I mean, it doesn't mean they're going to do it, but nobody is supplanting them. And Peyton Turner, Isaiah Foskey, same thing. If that had been a Leatu Latu pick or a Dallas Turner pick, maybe Peyton Turner and Isaiah Foskey don't get the chance they're going to have now. So a lot of my winners were guys at the positions they didn't pick, which is almost every position, because they hit corner with their second pick and they hit quarterback with their third pick. Two guys who we don't expect to necessarily supplant starters when they first get.
And then I think Nathan Shepard's another one. They didn't replace the 3-tech, so I think he's a winner of this draft. And then even then, the guy they drafted, it knows, I think, is a little bit raw. Boyd, I think he's going to be really good in time, but I think he's a little bit raw. So even if they go out in free agency and they sign another 3-tech, I think that probably puts Shep at nose, and then you got a different guy at 3. So I think Shepard's a winner here too. I don't think his job's in danger at all from any direction. So I think he's in pretty good shape. Losers.
There's a couple obvious ones.
I'm not going to call anyone a loser. I don't think he's a loser by any sense, and I don't necessarily know that he's losing his job, but I think Alontae Taylor has to compete now with somebody to keep his job on the inside. I think, for my money, I know DA said he's going to start him on the outside and then move him inside. For my money, I think Kool-Aid's here to play nickel. I think he's going to be the nickel, and in time, maybe he moves outside. I think it's the opposite. I think it's starting inside, and then later on he moves to the outside when someone moves on. But I think starting day one in camp, I think he's battling with Alante for that slot job.
Especially if Marshawn Lattimore and Paulson Adebo are here, that changes things. But that even hurts Alante Taylor in that sense, because we've been saying all along, if the Saints do trade Marshawn Lattimore, one silver lining could be Alante Taylor moves back to his natural position at outside corner where we think he could thrive more. Well, now even if they trade Marshawn Lattimore, maybe Kool-Aid would get to be the outside. Yeah, I mean, you're right. Maybe Alante would go outside.
I think Kool-Aid will be better on the inside, and I think Alante goes to the outside. I don't think that means that he's the better outside. I think it's just your configuration.
Yeah.
And we're completely projecting on Kool-Aid here. He might have the same struggles going inside that Alante did.
But regardless, Alante already had one too many guys in front of him, and now he might have two guys in front of him.
No doubt.
Or at least he's competing not to be fourth in the pecking order. And then the other obvious one is Jake Haener, who, look, Jake Haener could still win the backup job this year. Spencer Rattler could take some time to develop, to learn the system. Spencer Rattler, I think he will learn this system pretty well because he's been in two different pro-style systems in the last 3 years of college, first with Lincoln Riley and then last year with Dowell Loggins in South Carolina. He's been in 3 different systems the last 3 years, but he's always been taught in a pro style. So I think the transition will be pretty smooth for him. But this is a system he hasn't run yet, a variation of the Kubiak-Shanahan system. And so it will take a little getting used to for him, Jake Haener. But it felt like they were sort of anointing Jake Haener the backup before he had ever really even gotten an opportunity. And now all of a sudden, not only will he have more competition for the backup role, he's not even the young developmental guy anymore. He's got a guy a couple years younger than him with more upside now. So he's on that list.
Absolutely the hardest hit of anybody here.
And then Nathan Peterman and Kellen Mond too, of course.
Obviously. Yeah, I mean, but they're off the team right now for me. They picked Spencer, and both those guys are immediately gone for me. Yeah. I don't know that I got anyone else is a major loser. Like Bub Means comes in, but there's room on the roster for him. I mean, I guess maybe St. Brown and some of them other guys might see a little bit of competition now that they wouldn't have. I wasn't considering them locks for the team by any means. So.
I've got a couple that I had to stretch for. Pete Werner and Willie Gay Jr. only in the sense that those guys are heading into the last year of their contract, and we thought they were kind of battling for which guy are they going to extend, which guy's going to be DeMario Davis's heir apparent, and then they go and draft a pretty polished linebacker from Texas in round 5, which doesn't automatically mean that he's going to supplant Pete Werner and that's Jalen Ford, but it's another guy at their position. You could almost say Marshawn Lattimore and Paulson Adebo drafting Kool-Aid McKinstry makes it a little less likely that they're going to continue to pay those guys in future years. Does that affect offering Paulson Adebo a contract extension? Maybe not, but those are the only other guys that I kind of had to stretch. There aren't a lot of guys who lost their jobs, as you said up top.
Going to the chat, Matt says, a winner that we didn't mention was Isaiah Foskey. I think, in a certain sense, he kind of did win. And then... Yeah,
I'd agree with that. I'd consider him a bit of a winner here.
Yeah,
he didn't get the same level of competition. Yeah.
And then Beckett Howarth said that Houghton is also a big winner because...
Maybe.
I have him in a separate category, and is it going to be... I put TBD Jordan Houghton.
Maybe.
Is it for the exact reason that you're about to say?
Well, what's your reason?
That... since they completely whiffed on safety in the draft, they might have to go and sign a veteran.
Or it's always possible if Alante's great in the slot, maybe Kool-Aid plays safety. So I mean, I don't necessarily know that he's a winner.
Yeah, the versatility of Kool-Aid just makes this a whole the entire secondary. You never know where we're gonna end up. When camp is over with.